Hello and welcome or welcome back. It is December, so it's time to review how the year went financially and look at what next year and the future has in store. I'm kind of nervous. Okay, so let's look at how this year went anyway. Okay, so Christmas decor and meal. I did fully fund that at $500. Add $1,000 to my emergency fund. I did that. Add $1,300 to my house savings. I did that. So that's all my 1 year goals. And of course, this is from the Budget Moms Budget by Paycheck workbook, printable workbook that I printed. I bought it last year. Yeah, I bought it in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I don't use all the pages anymore, but I felt like it was a good starting point. And then from there, I can adjust and find new things that I can kind of replace that work better for me. So I don't feel like it was a waste of money. It was a good choice that I made. I'm happy with the decision anyway. It's just not all the pages work for me anymore. So, we do what we do, but I am keeping this page. So that's it for my short-term goals within 1 year. Those are all done. And then for my medium-term goals, I did sell my house. So that I was planning to do by June of 2024, but I did do that already. And then one of my goals was to pay off my partner's Chase credit card. I did not do that, but I decided that I wasn't going to do that because he took back over his debts. Another goal was to buy a Prius with 20% down by June of 2025, and instead I bought a Toyota RAV4 cash. So that was struck off the list. And then get married. I haven't done that yet, obviously. We got no ring here. But I am gonna do that. So I didn't cross it off or anything. And of course, I was planning to do this by December of 2025, save the money, but clearly it's not 2025 yet. So, it is what it is. And then fully fund my emergency fund at $13,000. I was planning on doing that by 2030. I already have over $15,000 now, so I'm okay with that. I do want to keep adding to my emergency fund though, because I do want to have, I want to have six months of expenses, but I kind of want that to, in theory, my income is going to grow every year. So my emergency fund should grow every year as well to compensate for that. So that is that. And then save 25% of my income. I wanted to get to that point by 2031. I haven't figured out, I should probably do the math on what percentage of my income I've been saving since I started investing, but I don't know. I feel like I'm at this point saving $7,000 a year, but I don't know. I'm changing this, obviously, because I feel like this is kind of nebulous. But in any case, and then buy a house with 20% saved, planning on $60,000 for that, and target dates 2032. I'm gonna need a house before then. I've been thinking about it, and in all reality, my partner has 3 kids. If you didn't know, my partner has 3 kids. He has oh my goodness, they're 9 now. They just had their birthday. Okay, so he has 2 9-year-olds and a 6-year-old. And currently they are all sharing one room. And that is not gonna work out when they get older, because let's be real, if they're hitting puberty and they're teenagers, they're gonna need their own dressers. They're not gonna be able to fit in a triple-decker bunk bed. Right now they're in a triple-decker bunk bed. So they have room to move around in their bedroom, but at some point they're gonna need more space. And their dad, my partner, is 6'3", so chances are they're gonna be tall too. Their mom is also taller than me. I don't know how tall she is. Yeah, they're probably going to be tall. And 3 tall boys in a triple dunker bunk bed all sharing one bedroom is not going to fly when they're teenagers. So we did decide that we're going to get a house a little sooner than I originally planned. So we're gonna have to like move this date up, and I don't know how that's gonna go because neither one of us make a lot of money. My partner makes more than me, but yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. But now that we have gone over how this year has gone and how my plans have kind of evolved, let's look at what my current financial plan is starting in 2024. So, Christmas decor and meals. I did fully fund that for this year, but I am going to do that again, same amount, $500, by December of 2024. I want to max out my Roth IRA contributions. Instead of that save 20% of my income garbage, which is like a vague number, I'm setting a real number on that. So max out my Roth IRA, my retirement account for $6,500, and I want to do that every year by December. Technically, I have until April of the following year to contribute, but I want to start doing that within the calendar year. So hopefully I can make that happen. I'm not going to hold my breath though, but that's what we're going to work towards. Okay, and then I want to add $1,000 to my emergency fund. I want to do this every year. I put this as November because I kind of started this goal in October, so I want to stick with my original plan and get this done a year from then. And then I want to replace flimsy furniture in my house. That's $500. I want to do that by December. And then fully fund all annual and semi-annual bills. That's a big one. So that is $5,482, which is a huge amount. It feels like such a huge amount. But that is a big chunk of this. Like most of this is my car insurance. So the way I came up with this number was I took my annual bills, and then for my car insurance, that's every 6 months. So I kind of wanted to have, I know I'm going to need to keep saving because I'm going to keep saving up until the end of the year because my car insurance is due in March and September of every year. So I need to keep contributing up until the end of the year so that I'm not trying to do 6 months worth of car insurance saving in, January, February, March. So I added all the way up until December, and then my other annual bills are in there too. So I don't need to save this in addition to what I already save. Oh my goodness. I don't need to save this in addition to what I have already saved towards next year's bills. This is just the total amount that I have to have by December of next year, if that makes sense. So within a year, this is what I need to have totally saved towards my annual and semi-annual bills. That makes sense. Okay. Well, contributed, because some of these will have been paid in the meantime. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's the number for how much is going to go towards those in this next year. Okay. So, medium-term goals within 5 years. I do want to prepare for car maintenance by saving a total of $4,000 by September of 2025 because all the regular maintenance for my vehicle is covered by the dealership, so I can go to the dealership for all my scheduled maintenance for the first 2 years. So that's fine. But then after that, I don't know how much things are going to cost, so this is kind of like a secondary emergency fund for my car. So like if brakes go out, if tires go flat, need to be replaced, like any of those big things, I want to already have the money because This past year, I did get blindsided by a few big maintenance expenses, big repairs, and I don't want that to happen again. So I want to get up to $4,000 by this date, by September 2025, so that I don't really have to worry about maintenance for a while. I will be continuing to add to that, but I don't want to get blindsided by like having to have all my bricks done all at once, or having something bad happen where like I have some kind of engine trouble and I have to like pay for a tow and pay for all these repairs and stuff if like something bad happens and I don't know, like my car runs over something and I don't want to have to deal with any big bills. We're just gonna put it that way. I did get a Toyota, so it is like relatively cheaper to maintain in theory, but you never know. So I want to have that money already and aside. And then I want to buy a house with 20% down, but I'm only going to come up with 10% of the down payment. Half of the down payment, which is 10% of the total, if that makes sense. And I'm saving, I want to have $20,000. Now this is real ambitious because this is within 5-ish years. So I want to have this by the end of 2029 so that at least when the kids are like teenagers, they can have their own rooms. Now, first of all, I don't make a lot of money. I make like $40,000 a year. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna come up with this much money in this amount of time. I really don't know. I am gonna do my best though, because the boys do deserve to have like their own rooms. And if we're gonna get a house together, then, I kind of need to contribute to the down payment. Now, also to be clear, because I'm a veteran, I can get a VA home loan, in which case I don't have to put 20% down as a down payment on a house. However, if I don't put 20% down because I got a VA loan, I'll probably have a higher interest rate, and of course the mortgage payment will be higher. So it's kind of a give and take. For my first house, I didn't get a VA loan because the interest rate was going to be higher. So I don't know. It's a risk, but if it means that we can potentially get a house in a slightly better neighborhood by putting less down, it might be worth it. I don't know. We're going to have to look at what houses are looking like when those 5 years are up and we have the money saved. And I haven't really talked about this, but I do live in Chicago, as you know, this implies my clown repellent here. I do live in Chicago, and we have this thing called redlining here, which doesn't quote unquote exist anymore. However, in predominantly minority neighborhoods, primarily minority neighborhoods, housing values don't really go up fast. And you can find really, nice looking houses in minority neighborhoods for a lot cheaper. However, again, on the other side, because, there's good and bad with everything, in those minority neighborhoods, you have fewer businesses, fewer like resources. Like you can't just walk to a bunch of stores. Like nothing is convenient in that area, so you end up traveling further to get anything done. Commuting is longer, running errands takes longer, like everything becomes less convenient. And also there are some higher crime rates sometimes depending on the area. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad, but we would rather have the stability of being in a house with enough rooms for the boys to each have their own room versus live in the neighborhood we currently live in, which we can only afford to rent in this neighborhood because it's an older building. And like we currently live in a 3-unit building, so we're in an apartment, but it's kind of like a house. So like we have an attached garage and we're on the first floor with our own entrance to the building. Like our apartment door opens to the outside, which is really nice, and we're on the first floor, so it's like it's super nice. The kids being loud doesn't really affect our neighbors too much, but you know, that's why we can afford to live in this neighborhood. If we were gonna buy a house in this neighborhood, our mortgage would probably be like $2,600 a month. That's just the mortgage. That's not including like utilities, or anything like that, any maintenance or anything. So like we lucked out by being in a relatively small, like multi-unit apartment building. So that being said, you know, houses in our neighborhood is super expensive, but we can move to like a primarily minority neighborhood and get a less expensive place. But you know, there's give and take with that. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. But this is my goal, is to save $20,000 for that. And then I do still want to get married, but I want to get married. Our plan is to get married on Halloween of 2025. So I did move that date up a little bit, and that's $2,000 I want to save for that. I do want to go back to school and get my bachelor's degree. We'll see what happens with paying my taxes. So my taxes, I don't know how much I'm going to owe in taxes because it depends on how much I have to pay out of the house sale, because I sold my house earlier this year. So if I don't have to pay taxes out of that, which according to my research, I shouldn't have to. But if that's the case, then I already have $40,000 saved for that. And I just need another $5,000 to feel comfortable with paying cash for my bachelor's degree. So I want to have that by September of 2025. If I do have to pay taxes out of my house sale, then I'm probably going to have to get student loans, and we're going to get a new debt, like start date, a new debt like confession, whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't really want student loans because I like not having debt, but I also really want to have a degree. I feel like that's one of those big like stepping stones of life that I didn't do. So I don't know. I think it's important. To get that, because I've had a lot of trouble finding jobs that pay any kind of decent wage, and a lot of the times what can make a difference is having a degree. So, you know, it is what it is. We deal with it. And then my last thing for my midterm goals is to take another vacation. So I do have a vacation coming up in March of 2024. But I want to start taking vacations like every 2 years. So $2,000 by January of 2026 is my next goal. And I'm going to start saving for that after this vacation in March. So that's that. And then I only have one long-term goal at this point. I'm sure if I thought long enough, I could come up with other ones. But most of what is going to be done within the next 10 or 15 years will be like repeats of these earlier things. So, you know, I want to fund Christmas with $500 every year. And the number might go up eventually, but I want to max out my Roth IRA every year. I want to, you know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff is going to kind of be recycled, but the only different thing, at least so far, for my long-term goals is I want to buy a new car. I want to keep my current car for at least 10 years. So the target date for that is September of 2033. So that is 10 years from when I got my current vehicle. And I want to put at least 20% down. So it says 20+% down. But I want to save $50,000. So, I want to save up, my goal is $50,000. So if I can, put like, I don't know what inflation is going to do. I don't know how much cars are going to cost in 10 years. I don't, but I figure if I keep a kind of like reasonable goal of $50,000, then I'll at least have like most of it paid in cash. And I might end up getting like a small loan depending on what I end up getting. But again, 3 kids. And let's be real, with how inflation is going and how like life is and how chaotic things can get, we're probably not going to have the kids move out right away. So I don't know about their mom, obviously. That's really none of my business. But I want the kids to be welcome to stay, like, kind of as long as they need to, like, stay with us. So if they decide to go to college, or if they just like get a couple of certificates and get a decent job or whatever they decide to do, I'm fully understanding that with how our economy works, they very well might not be able to afford to move out when they're 18. And considering how responsible most 18-year-old men are, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea for them to move out when they're 18. So I kind of want to prepare for them to stay like at least until they're like maybe 25. So they can like get on their feet and have money saved and have some kind of stability so that they can be like productive adults and be happy and safe and have their own lives, I guess. So who knows what their decisions will be when they hit 18 or 20 or whatever, but I want to be prepared for that. And partially because of that, I want to continue having an SUV. So right now I don't have a big SUV. I have a Toyota RAV4, but that legroom is so necessary for my partner because he's 6'3", he has real long legs. So he needs legroom, and when these kids grow up, they're probably gonna need legroom too. So having a like compact sedan is not really realistic. And also I like being higher up off the ground. I like being able to see over other vehicles, like being able to see over the hoods of other vehicles. Because like, okay, let's be real here, I'm 5'1". I'm real little, I'm real short. So if I'm in a sedan, I can barely see over the steering wheel of my car. Like I had a sedan for a little while. Well, for most of my life, I had sedans. And I could not see over the steering wheel in any of them. Like I kind of, when I was parking, I'd have to make sure I was parking in an area where I had a lot of room on either side, just because I couldn't necessarily tell how close I was to the car in front of me and the car behind me, because I couldn't see over the steering wheel. So I just, now that I spent the past 10 years, oh God, that's so long. Okay, let me not think about that. My last vehicle, I had a minivan, and I could see over the steering wheel, and I could see when I was turning into another lane, I could see over the hoods of the parked cars to where other cars were coming, and I felt a lot safer. So I really like that feeling, and I really like the idea of having enough room for my passengers, and so I'm probably gonna stick with SUVs. And also, they tend to be better in the snow, and it does snow in Chicago every year, multiple times a year. It snowed on freaking Halloween, so yeah, I really want that leg room. I like having all-wheel drive. I like feeling safe. So $50,000. I don't know how much car that's gonna get me. It'd be phenomenal if it actually paid for the whole car brand new. But if I end up in a used car, hopefully used cars will be cheaper than new cars by the time I get my next car. But they might not be. I don't know how much cars are gonna cost. But I still want that goal of 50,000. So it feels kind of weird having a plan of saving more for a new car than for a house. But considering the possibility of a VA home loan, and considering like how important having a vehicle is, especially if you live in a neighborhood that is not convenient, that has snow and doesn't plow regularly, and you know, all of those variables, I think it's important for me to have a reliable SUV. So that's it for my goals. Oh my goodness, I keep making these videos that are kind of long, and I apologize. It's always a kind of balancing game between having all the information I want to share and not wasting your time, because I don't want to waste your time. And I feel like me sharing this kind of will give you maybe ideas on how you would like to plan your goals for the year and for the next decade or whatever. I know I get some ideas looking at how other people plan theirs. So, you know, keep the cycle going, y'all. I think it's helpful. I think it's interesting to see, like, you know, the story of your money is the story of your life. And this is the story of what I want my money to do for me in the next 10 years. So, you know, I hope you learned something. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you think that any of this is realistic or unrealistic, you know, some of these numbers are kind of high, especially considering the fact that I don't even make $20 an hour. I don't even make 19. I make $18.75. So, you know, some of these numbers are freaking huge. But I have made some good progress recently, and I kind of feel like I can keep that progress up maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think. I love you. I appreciate you. Remember, you deserve financial stability, and that includes being able to plan where your money goes instead of just going from paycheck to paycheck, hoping that you can pay the bills next month. So, I hope you have a great day on purpose, and tell me how your plans are going. Have you planned for next year? Let me know. Love you. Bye.